Good morning, everyone. Today we're at the Buchanan bus station in Glasgow. It's still dark. It's about 7:30 in the morning and it's absolutely freezing. We're going on 2 days, 1 night mystery bus tour, which means we have no idea where a bus driver taking us. Somewhere in Scotland or possibly somewhere in England, who knows. Of course, Jim is with me and we dressed for all 4 seasons. Emotionally prepared for rain and quietly hoping that mystery including heating. So stay till the end to see where we will end up and how much this trip costs. It might surprise you actually. And as usual, I will share a little bit of history about the place we finally arrived at. Mystery history. Let's go.
James and
Elena.
Aye, so you are three.
We left Buchanan bus station sharp at 8 a.m. and started heading south on the M74. At that point, our destination was still a complete mystery. As the sun began to rise, the Scottish scenery slowly unfolded outside the bus window, one of those moments that almost makes the early start feel worth it. Even though we were dressed for all 4 seasons, we somehow forgot one essential thing: sunglasses, just as the sun decided to absolutely blast straight into the bus. After about an hour and a half, we stopped for our first pit stop at the service station. Let's see what's inside. Waitress. Oh. Look at this Harry Street handbag, only $64.90. Really nice. Quite pricey though. $7.99. That's scarf. Yeah, let's see what else is in here. So that's KFC, some kind of good breakfast. Let's have a look quickly. £3 for £8.30. Wow, that's a lot, isn't it? Starbucks and also Burger King. We're at Waitress and sandwiches here for $4.80. $5.50. All different kind of prices. Here's at Waitress. Christmas is over. Okay, Jim, where do you think we will end up?
My money's on either Lake District, Blackpool or Liverpool.
I think we will end up in Liverpool. Wait and see.
A fiver says Lake District.
I say Liverpool, the place I never been before. So is Jim. And that's our bus. It doesn't say CaledonianTravel, but it's operated by CaledonianTravel. A mystery tour, coach number 4. We grabbed some sandwiches and cakes and bus set off again at 10:10. By then, everyone tried to get some information out of our bus driver about where he was taking us, but he just wouldn't budge, fully committed to keeping the mystery. Jim, however, had a few theories after quietly checking the sat-nav. As we continued our journey, the scenery outside the window slowly began to change. The green rolling hills faded away, replaced by a much wintry landscape. Snow was lying on the ground, and cars passing by were covered in it too, a clear sign that we were heading somewhere colder. The mystery tour didn't disappoint once again. Both of us were completely wrong with our guesses. We didn't end up in Newcastle at all. Instead, the coach brought us to Durham, a city we weren't expecting, but it turned out to be surprisingly beautiful. Sometimes not knowing where you're going makes the arrival even more special. We definitely should have bring sunglasses, John.
Yeah.
After crossing the bridge, we simply followed the path ahead, making our way towards what we felt like the heart of the city. As we walked on, the narrow streets unfolded beautifully along the way. They were lined with plenty of restaurants, quirky little shops, and interesting, often very beautiful old buildings. I'm always amazed by architecture like this, imagining how people used to live here hundreds of years ago, walking the same streets, surrounded by the same stone walls. Without really planning it, we found ourselves heading towards Durham's main square, the marketplace. This square has been the center of the city for centuries, and even today it still holds regular markets just as it always has. Traders, locals, visitors. This has long been a place where people come together. Standing here, you can imagine how little has changed over time. At the center of the marketplace stands the statue of Lord Londonderry, a powerful figure in the region during the 19th century, closely connected to the coal industry that once shaped the life in the county Durham. You might notice that the horse is raising one leg. Many people believe this has a hidden meaning, but historians agree it's simply an artistic choice. The pose was chosen for balance and drama, not symbolism. At this point, we honestly had no idea what to expect from Durham. After a few turns, the road gently led us forward, and suddenly everything opened up. We arrived at Palace Green, a historic green space directly in front of Durham Cathedral and Durham Castle, forming part of the city's UNESCO World Heritage Site. On one side stands Durham Cathedral, a stunning example of normal architecture, a place of pilgrimage and a filming location for Harry Potter. On the other side is Durham Castle, a normal castle that later became part of the University of Durham. Unfortunately, the castle was closed to visitors that day, so we headed straight towards the cathedral.
Freezing.
Proper winter here in England. Durham Cathedral feels powerful the moment you see it. It stands high above the river, solid and unmoving, as if it's always been here, watching the city grow around it. There is something very grounding about this place. It doesn't try to impress with decorations. Its strength is in its tone, its scale, and its presence. Durham Cathedral was built remarkably quickly for a medieval building of this scale. Construction began in 1093 and took around 40 years to complete. When you step inside, the sense of the height is immediate. The nave rises to around 73 feet, creating a feeling of space and strength at the same time. Above it all, the central tower reaches more than 200 feet, and for centuries it acted as a landmark guiding pilgrims towards the city. At the heart of the Durham Cathedral stands the shrine of Saint Cuthbert, the reason this cathedral exists at all. Saint Cuthbert died in the year 687, but his story didn't end with his death. Instead of being laid to rest permanently, his body was carried by monks across the north of England for centuries. They were searching for a safe and peaceful place where he could finally rest, protected from the invasion and conflicts. According to tradition, they were guided by signs and visions, which eventually led them to this dramatic peninsula. Surrounded on three sides by water and high ground, it was the perfect natural fortress, and here they finally stopped. This shrine quickly became one of the most important pilgrimage sites in medieval England. People traveled from far and wide to pray here, seeking healing, protection, and guidance. Durham grew around the shrine, and later the cathedral was built specifically to honor Saint Cuthbert. The structure you see today marks the place of his tomb. It may look dark against the pale stone of the cathedral, and that contrast is intentional. The shrine is made from dark wood, which has deepened in color over time. Centuries of age, candle smoke, and natural oxidation have given it its rich, almost black appearance. In my opinion, this darkness isn't meant to feel heavy. It creates focus. It draws the eye inward, encouraging quiet reflection and marking the space as something sacred and separate from the rest of the cathedral. One of the first things that really caught my attention was the light. It moves gently through the space, changing the mood as you walk, and much of that atmosphere comes from the stained glass windows. As I started to look more closely, I noticed something interesting. These stained glass windows don't look as old as you might expect in the cathedral that dates back nearly 1,000 years. Many of them feel more contemporary, and it turned out that impression is absolutely right. Most of original medieval stained glass was lost over time. Some was destroyed during the Reformation, and more disappeared through centuries of weather and change. Most of the stained glass we see today is modern, created in the 20th century and after, and designed to blend in with this historic space. I love that the windows don't try to look medieval. They tell their own story in a different way, through light and color. Durham Cathedral doesn't charge a general admission fee, but it still costs a lot to maintain. Estimate suggests it runs at around £10,000 per day to keep the cathedral open, cared for, and preserved. After leaving the cathedral, we went for a wander around the city. I started to notice just how many beautiful old doors there are everywhere, each one different, each one with its own character. There are also lots of quirky little pubs tucked away along the streets, the kind of places you imagine being warm and cozy on a cold day. Property prices are quite high, which isn't surprising at all. Durham is small, historic, and very desirable. If you have a spare 1 million, you can buy a house like this. Eventually, we stopped for lunch, mainly to hide from the cold. We ordered tea, a cappuccino, a mini pizza, and lentil soup. All of that came to £17. After lunch, we slowly made our way back towards the bus. One last look at this beautiful place before leaving. It didn't take long to reach our hotel. After just half an hour, we arrived in Newcastle, where we were staying for the night. After a short wait, we were given a spacious room, which was a lovely surprise. Here's a quick room tour. Spacious shower, large mirror in here, and super king size bed. We asked for larger bed or 2 twin beds, and we've been given an upgrade with the super king size bed. Iron and board and iron, plenty of hangers in here, place for a suitcase for your Jim is here. Heating is on now, and it's getting warmer. Hair dryer. And we've got a kettle as well here. Tea, coffee, as usual. Let's check the kettle inside. It's okay. Not very clean though. Let's check the mattress. The most important is folds. Looks okay. Checking for bed bugs. Looks clean. And that's the view. Let's check. Reception. And right here is a bar. And just over there is a restaurant, buffet style restaurant. Here's the sitting area in here. And we are waiting patiently for dinner to begin. Here's the water. So, orange apple, tropical juice, hot tea, coffee, cappuccino, and all different varieties of teas. And here's the dinner. Dinner is a buffet style. What we've got here, I'm not sure what is it. Right. You get your essentials, shaving cream. They even have toothbrush, toothpaste, wipes, all the essentials, and paracetamol as well. No prices. Well, maybe check 46. What is 46? 180. What is 46?
Pepsi.
Pepsi. Can you check toothbrush with toothpaste? 34. £2.50 for toothbrush and the wee toothpaste. So if you forgot something, you can always buy it in here. Very handy. Just right next to the elevators in here. And reception on your left. We are going to explore. Oh, it's so cold. It's unbelievable. And it's so icy. It's very, very slippery. Very slidey. After dinner, we decided to go out for a walk, but the weather had other plans. With strong wind and temperature below zero, it felt absolutely freezing, so we quickly decided to head back to the hotel. The next morning, after a good night's sleep in comfortable beds, breakfast was served. Let me show you quickly what was on offer. After a quick breakfast, we were off again to a new destination.
Handed your room keys in. Right, so it'll probably take us about just a wee bit to get to where we're going. A wee hour or something.
Once again, the bus driver kept our next destination a complete secret. No clues, no hints. He completely tricked us by saying it's only 1 hour away. Any guesses? Well, if you said Newcastle, then you are correct. It only took a few minutes to reach the city center. We were dropped off at 10 a.m. and had 4 hours to explore. But after freezing temperature the day before, our first stop, believe it or not, was Primark. Mainly for warm socks and leggings. But as it turned out, Primark even has a cafe with a view. So we stopped for a quick cuppa before heading out to explore the city properly. At first glance, it feels modern and busy, but very quickly you realize that this city carries layers of history beneath every street. Roman foundations, medieval walls, heavy industry, music, football, and a strong local identity all exist here at the same time. Today, I'm walking through Newcastle to see what makes it so special. From its famous rivers and bridges to elegant streets and places where the city first began. It's not a guidebook tour. It's simply my first impression of Newcastle, walking, observing and listening to the city. And honestly, 4 hours in one day is simply not enough to see a city like this. So full of history, culture and character. But here's what we discovered along the way. This memorial is dedicated to the Northumbrian regiments who fought in the South African War, also known as the Boer War, at the turn of the 20th century between 1899 and 1902. The Northumbrian regiments were made up of soldiers from this region, ordinary men who were sent thousands of miles away to fight in a difficult and controversial conflict. Many never returned home, and this memorial was created to remember their service and sacrifice. This is Gray's Monument, one of the most recognizable landmarks in Newcastle. It was built in honor of Charles Grey, the second Earl Grey, the man best known for the Great Reform Act of 1832. That reform changed the British political system, giving more people the right to vote and making Parliament more representative. The column itself is over 40 meters high, and right on top stands a statue of Earl Grey, looking out over the city. The monument sits at the heart of Newcastle, where people meet, shop, protest, and pass through every day. What I liked about this place is how history and everyday life mix together here. It's not a quiet monument hidden away. It's right in the middle of the city's energy, watching Newcastle change while standing exactly where it is. Our next stop was Newcastle Castle. This is the building that gave the city its name, quite literally. The castle dates back to the 12th century, and it was originally built by the Normans to defeat the river crossing of the River Tyne. It played an important role in protecting the city from attacks coming from the north. What you see today is mainly the castle keep and the Black Gate, both incredibly well preserved. Over the centuries, the castle has had many different uses. It's been a fortress, a prison, and even part of the city's defenses long after it stopped being a royal residence. For me, places like this really ground the city in its past. You suddenly realize how old Newcastle is, and how much history sits quietly behind the modern streets around it. This is Newcastle Cathedral, also known as St. Nicholas Cathedral. Unlike many English cathedrals, it didn't start as a monastery. It began life as a parish church, serving the people of the city. Most of what we see today dates back to the 14th and 15th centuries. It once acted as a navigation point for ships sailing up the River Tyne. We had a wonderful 2 days, exploring new places and making unforgettable memories. I would definitely recommend this mystery 2 days bus tour, especially since the price is surprisingly affordable. For 1 night, 2 days tour, including accommodation, breakfast and dinner, we paid only £69 per person. Of course, you should keep in mind that prices can change depending on the time of the year. Would I do it again? Absolutely. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please like, comment and subscribe for more content from Scotland and beyond. Until next time, bye for now.